hope your days in jail are a living hell, you bastard. Hope you can't even sleep at night, knowing that you took away a valuable person.
In the quiet town of Wisconsin, a loving mother of 6, Brittany Booker, was about to be caught in a tragedy that would shatter everything she knew. At around 2 a.m., surveillance cameras captured a chilling scene, Brittany being led outside her home by a man. What the footage didn't reveal was the weapon hidden in his hand, nor the deadly intent behind his steps. That man was 42-year-old Terry L. Jackson, and within moments he would unleash a brutality that would silence Brittany forever. But this wasn't the first time Brittany had been caught in Terry's violence. Just weeks earlier, she had endured a vicious beating at his hands alongside her friend, the very woman she was trying to protect. She had escaped once, but little did anyone know Terry wasn't finished. His rage was festering, and his obsession was far from over. What began as an act of compassion, helping a friend escape the grip of abuse, spiraled into a nightmare. Brittany's courage placed her directly in the path of danger, and the cost was devastating. How far would you go to protect the people you love? And when kindness becomes a target, who truly pays the price? But before we get to that bone-chilling moment that changed everything, let me take you back to where Brittany's story truly began.
But hold on, 'cause better days are coming.
Man, it's a tough one. It's tough.
Brittany Booker was just 30 years old when she tragically lost her life. A mother of 6, Brittany had the world at her feet. From the outside looking in, she was everything you would want in a friend and family member, loyal, loving, and beautiful, with a smile that could bring life to any space she enters. Her friends and family knew her as a caring individual, always willing to lend a hand or a listening ear. Born in the vibrant state of Wisconsin, Brittany had roots in a large and close-knit family. She was the kind of person who could always be counted on, whether it was for advice, support, or just someone to share a laugh with. Her father, who loved her deeply, always spoke proudly of how much his daughter meant to him. She was the cornerstone of her family, often playing the role of the go-to person for anything that came up. Brittany was also known for her incredible work ethic. At 30 years old, she had 6 children, ranging in age from 2 to 13 years old. Being a mother was her greatest joy, and her kids were the center of her universe. For Brittany, nothing mattered more than her children's well-being, and she worked tirelessly to provide for them. But Brittany's life, as perfect as it seemed to those on the outside, was marred by a few painful secrets. As much as she loved her children and friends, she was also caught in the web of a toxic relationship. Her best friend, who we will call Brittany's friend, was in a dangerous relationship with a man named Terry L. Jackson, a 42-year-old scumbag. Brittany had always been the protective type. When she saw her friend struggling in an abusive relationship with Terry, it was clear that her situation had escalated. Her friend, wanting to break free, had made a deal with Terry to avoid going to the police in exchange for him leaving the area and returning to Illinois. But Terry's departure was lived long. It was February 20th, 2022, when Brittany drove to Illinois to pick him up and bring him back to Wisconsin. Why? It wasn't clear to her at the time, but she likely hoped that Terry would go to court, face his charges, and then leave her friend alone. However, when they returned from Illinois, things took a tragic turn. Around 9 p.m. that evening, as they were driving back home, something horrific happened. Terry pulled over at a college campus. What was supposed to be a drive back home became a nightmare. In an unthinkable act of violence, Terry began choking Brittany's friend, hitting her, and even attempting to gouge out her eyes. For hours, she endured this torment, but there was more. Brittany's friend later recalled text messages that she had sent during this time, trying to make sense of the whole ordeal. But Terry was relentless. After 3 hours of brutal violence, Terry forced Brittany's friend to put on a hoodie to cover her injuries and take her to pick up her daughter. He threatened her with a box cutter, telling her that if she ever told anyone about the abuse, he would kill her. This wasn't just physical abuse, it was mental torture. On February 21st, 2022, Brittany's friend went to the hospital, her injuries too severe to ignore. Nurses and doctors began to ask questions, and soon the police were involved. Brittany's friend finally found the courage to speak out and tell the truth about Terry's violence. But this would be just the beginning. Terry, undeterred by his court fate, on February 22nd missed his appearance, leading to growing concern about what he would do next. Brittany, being the loyal and supportive friend she was, stood by her friend, offering comfort and security during this chaotic time. But little did she know that the worst was yet to come. Brittany and her friend had not seen Terry since the horrific hammer attack. Both women assumed that Terry had fled back to Illinois, but that wasn't the case. Brittany's friend, still terrified of Terry, needed to go back to her apartment on February 27th to gather some belongings. Brittany, being protective, decided to accompany her friend for safety. What seemed like a simple trip would soon turn into a fatal encounter. As they entered the apartment, they saw no signs of Terry. They thought they were safe, but Terry was lying in wait. He snuck into the apartment through the back door, armed with a hammer, and attacked Brittany's friend. Brittany, holding her 2-year-old daughter in her arms, tried to call 911 but was unable to unlock her phone in time. In a desperate attempt to defend herself, she grabbed a kitchen knife, but Terry was relentless. He hit her in the head with the hammer, leaving her severely injured. Brittany's friend managed to flee the apartment and ran to neighbors, but no one answered the door. She stumbled into a nearby bar, bloodied and in agony. The bar patrons quickly called 911, and both Brittany and her friend were taken to the hospital, both suffering severe injuries. On March 5th, just days after the attack, Brittany turned to Facebook. She was furious, exhausted, and determined to make her voice heard. Rumors were swirling at twisting the truth, and to her belief, some people were even defending Terry. But she wanted the world to know exactly what had happened. In her post, Brittany revealed that when Terry first struck her, she had been holding her daughter in her arms. She hadn't provoked him, hadn't touched him, she had only tried to run. Desperate, she knocked on doors, begging for someone to help. That night, she could have been taken from her children forever. But even as she defended herself online, Brittany couldn't escape the shadow of what was still to come. Her courage to speak out was powerful, but it would not be enough to shield her from the tragedy that lay ahead. A couple of weeks later, a warrant was issued for Terry's arrest. He was charged with 2 counts of attempted murder, but he remained on the run. Despite a manhunt that stretched across 5 states, Wisconsin, Illinois, Texas, Arizona, and Indiana, Terry was elusive. But on April 24, 2022, everything would change. Brittany, now living in fear, was at home that night when her 13-year-old son woke up to find her 2-year-old sister wandering the living room. She was always with her mom, so this immediately seemed wrong. When he checked her mom's bedroom, he found blood on the sheets and his little sister's nightgown. Fearing the worst, he called 911. When investigators reviewed the Ring doorbell footage, they saw a chilling clip. They saw Brittany walking out of the house with Terry behind her, masked and with a hoodie. Her son heard Terry say "move," which would be the last time anyone saw Brittany alive. It's believed that Terry attacked Brittany that night, performing unspeakable acts before ultimately killing her. Brittany's body was found a couple of blocks away in the front seat of her car with a bullet in her head. The devastating news hit the family and community hard. It was clear that Terry's reign of terror had led to an unimaginable loss, and the question remained, how did someone who had been such a loving and supportive person to her family and friends end up as a victim of such senseless violence? The tragic loss of Brittany Booker left a huge void in the hearts of her family, friends, and community. Brittany's children, ages ranging from 2 to 13 years imaginable, had just lost their mother in the most horrific way imaginable. A mother who loved them fiercely and protected them with every fiber of her being. She was taken from them in an instant, the result of an abusive relationship gone tragically wrong. Brittany's father, who had been so proud of his daughter and the woman she had become, was devastated. He had always known Brittany as someone who would go above and beyond for her loved ones. Now, to see her life taken from her so violently was a pain that was almost impossible to bear. For him, the hardest part was watching her last moments on the Ring doorbell footage, knowing that she had looked back, probably with the hope of seeing her children safe, a mother's instinct to protect even in the worst moments. He knew she would never have wanted to leave her kids in that situation, and his words resonated deeply within the community. Her friends and family were left in utter shock. The violence of the attack, the fact that Brittany was so fiercely protective of her children, made her death all the more heartbreaking. Everyone who knew Brittany spoke of her as someone who would have sacrificed everything for her family. As the authorities began their investigation into Brittany's murder, they quickly shifted their focus to Terry Jackson, the man responsible for this horrific crime. With a history of violent behavior, including previous charges and accusations of abuse, Terry had become a prime suspect in Brittany's death. The search for him turned into an intense manhunt that stretched across multiple states. Authorities scoured Wisconsin, Illinois, Texas, Arizona, and Indiana, hoping to track him down. But despite their efforts, Terry managed to elude capture for several weeks.
Now to a manhunt for an accused in Racine. Have you seen this man? Police are sharing these new photos today in their search for Terry Jackson. He is wanted for last Sunday's fatal 30-year-old Brittany Booker. Now her father talked to our Tony Atkins today, pleading for help to track Jackson down.
Outside Brittany's house, candles, many of them still lit, as people came to honor a mother taken way too soon from her children. This was Brittany Booker, a mother of 6, a friend, a sister.
Brittany was 11, wonderful kid, man.
She's also Leonard Larry's daughter. Leonard desperate to find justice.
Man, she didn't have to die like that.
Police say Brittany was killed last Sunday by this man, 41-year-old Terry Jackson, who's still on the run. On this doorbell camera, her final moments seen reluctantly walking outside her home with Jackson, leaving her kids inside at 5 a.m. At the family's request, we aren't showing the video.
It was like my daughter looked back like saying, help me, Dad, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And my daughter would have ran, but she took that for her kids, because she didn't want to go back in there and do nothing to her kids.
Leonard says his daughter begged for help before she was killed. She was a friend of Jackson's ex-girlfriend. Jackson is accused of attacking that woman with a hammer in February.
He had to come through there.
I went into the backyard of the home with Leonard, who's still cautious because his daughter's is still out there.
Listen, we ain't out the woods yet. And like I said, this guy is just pretty much doing what he want to do when he want to do it. And I don't understand it. I need your eyes, anybody's eyes all over it. Please help me. You know, when I bring my daughter to justice, Brittany, I promise you, this case is not going cold.
And the message from Brittany's father, very clear as they continue looking for Jackson. If you have any information, you're asked to contact police or call Crime Stoppers. Reporting in Racine, Tony Atkins, TMJ4 News.
All right, take another look at these images of Terry Jackson. You can share them from our TMJ4 News Facebook page. Now, Crime Stoppers is offering a $2,000 reward for information leading to Jackson's arrest.
He was able to make his way into her home, and we won't discuss what happened subsequent to that, but at some point she left the home and we were able to locate her in a vehicle, but that's about it. This man is dangerous. He's callous. He has no regard for human life. And if you know where he is, you need to let us know.
Police have not said what led up to Booker's death. Crime Stoppers is offering a $2,000 reward for information leading to an arrest, and you can remain anonymous.
As Brittany's family and friends lived in constant fear, they anxiously waited for justice to be served. The uncertainty of whether or not Terry would be caught added to their suffering. Meanwhile, Brittany's friends and family rallied together to provide for Brittany's children. A GoFundMe was set up to help cover the funeral costs and provide for the children's future.
The community came together, offering emotional support and financial aid, determined to make sure Brittany's children would have the resources they needed, even without their mother.
Now, one day I missed, and this will happen. But, I don't know, I just...
Brittany Booker's dad is overcome with emotion. He says losing his daughter is a pain he's never felt.
What can I say? You know, I lost my kid.
The 30-year-old mom of 6 was found in Racine on Sunday. Police say she had multiple injuries, including a gunshot wound to the head. Do you feel like police failed you?
They did fail me. They did fail me. I don't feel like they did fail me.
Leonard Larry says Racine police didn't offer his daughter any protection or assistance, and that's why this crowd is here.
That violence in our community will not be tolerated.
to remember who they lost.
But hold on, 'cause better days are coming.
Man. It's a tough one. It's tough.
Family and friends at a vigil for Brittany, wrapping their arms around each other with tears in their eyes.
It's just sad, man. It's sad for real.
They released balloons, but will hold on to Brittany
She's touched everybody in her own way.
forever.
She was one of a kind.
On April 24, 2022, after weeks of searching, the police finally located Terry Jackson. Investigators found him in Illinois. However, when they arrived at the location, Terry was armed. He had a gun in the window and a standoff ensued. Negotiations followed, and eventually, Terry surrendered to law enforcement. He was arrested and taken into custody.
A fugitive wanted for the of a Racine mother last month is in police custody tonight. U.S. Marshals say they arrested Terry Jackson in Chicago this morning. He is charged with homicide in the death of 30-year-old Brittany Booker. Jackson also charged with assaulting Booker and another woman with a hammer at a Racine bar in February. CBS 58's Jenna Wells is in Racine with more on Jackson's arrest and reaction to the news from Booker's father.
41-year-old Terry Jackson has been on the run from authorities since February. He's facing over a dozen felonies and other charges. This fugitive investigation spanning 5 states until his arrest in Chicago today.
Hey, greatest day of my life. They caught him. We caught him. Everybody, we caught him.
Terry Jackson's arrest on Sunday brought a sigh of relief to the family of 30-year-old Brittany Booker, almost 1 month since police say she was murdered by Jackson at her home.
He was so violent in the offenses that he committed. So as long as we don't have a person that's been willing to engage in that kind of violent activity in our streets, we're all better off for it.
Jackson apprehended by U.S. Marshals Sunday at a home in Chicago. Officials say when they arrived, he had a There was a brief standoff before he was taken into custody.
The reason we were able to locate him this time is we got a tip on the tip line that's where he could be found. So the citizenry took us to heart and recognized it was in everybody's best interest for us to be able to apprehend him.
Racine Police Chief Maurice Robinson said Sunday the arrest is in the hands of U.S. Marshals.
During the course of an extensive interview, he did offer a confession.
Brittany Booker's father, Leonard Leary, says the waiting game has been difficult.
It's like this guy became a ghost. You know, it's like he just dropped off the face of the earth for a while. But I don't see how his family or anybody could hide this man out knowing what he did.
Leary tells CBS 58, despite Sunday's good news, losing Booker continues to be heartbreaking. Family members now packing up her former home.
Now I can pick up the pieces. I don't gotta deal with that scene no more.
Leary believes they may not have gotten justice for Booker without all the community support they received.
Show me love, show my daughter love, coming out to the events, you know, whatever it may be, we thank you. And we got them, all of us.
Chief Robinson says Jackson will be extradited from Chicago to Racine. There's no timeline on that yet. We'll make sure to bring you more details as we get them. Reporting from Racine, Jenna Wells, CBS 58 News.
The news of Terry's arrest was a bittersweet relief for Brittany's family. While they were glad to know that he would no longer be able to harm anyone else, the grief of Brittany's death was still fresh. No arrest or trial could bring her back. The pain of losing a daughter, a sister, a mother, was something they would carry with them forever. The police immediately began building their case against Terry Jackson. In the weeks following his arrest, it was revealed that there had been a confession from Terry. However, despite this confession, he pleaded not guilty to the charges of Brittany's murder. This left many people wondering why someone who had confessed to such a heinous crime would still choose to stand trial. Brittany's father, along with the rest of her family, faced this unsettling reality. The man who had taken their daughter's life was now going through the legal motions of pleading not guilty. His lack of remorse was evident, as he even smirked at the family during court proceedings, adding another layer of pain to an already devastating situation. In addition to Terry's arrest, authorities also arrested 3 women who were allegedly involved in helping him escape after his violent assault on Brittany's friend. These women, Alicia, Carmela, and Diamond, were accused of driving Terry to Texas after he had attacked both Brittany's friend and her, leaving them with severe injuries. Though details of the women's involvement remain unclear, some people in the community wondered what could have motivated these women to help someone like Terry. Were they afraid of him? Were they under duress? Or did they somehow support his actions? Their role in this story raised even more questions, and as the investigation progressed, the focus turned to uncovering the truth about their involvement. Brittany's family, however, expressed their concerns for the women's involvement, although they understood that fear could drive someone to make unfortunate choices. The focus remained on Terry, as he was the one who would cause the ultimate harm. The three women may have helped him escape temporarily, but it was Terry who had left Brittany's children without a mother. As the trial for Terry Jackson commenced, the courtroom was filled with raw emotion. Brittany Booker's family and friends were present, seeking justice for the mother of 6 who had been taken far too soon. The pain was visible as they sat through the hearings, grappling with the realization that the man accused of murdering Brittany had yet to fully face the consequences of his actions. The prosecution was determined to make sure Terry would be held accountable for the murder of Brittany, but the path to justice was far from clear. Despite his confession, Terry pleaded not guilty to all charges, including first-degree murder. The reasons for his plea became the focal point of the defense's case. Was it truly a crime of passion, a moment of uncontrollable rage, or did Terry's actions have a deeper, darker motivation? Throughout the trial, it became clear that the prosecution had a strong case. Evidence such as Brittany's last moments on her ring camera, the confessions, and the extensive details about the brutality of the attack painted a chilling picture of what had transpired in the hours before Brittany's death. The prosecution emphasized the premeditated nature of Terry's actions. This was not an impulsive outburst, but a violent act that involved sustained attacks on Brittany's life. His actions, including the hammer attack on Brittany's friend and the subsequent murder, pointed to a person with no regard for human life. As the trial continued, more details emerged about the abusive relationship between Terry Jackson and Brittany's friend. These details were harrowing, revealing a pattern of control, intimidation, and physical violence. Witness testimonies from Brittany's friend, along with records of past abuse, painted a picture of a man who was not only dangerous, but also highly manipulative. The situation was compounded by the fact that Brittany had been trying to protect her friend from a man with a history of violence. The defense attempted to deflect responsibility, claiming that Terry had not been in control of his actions. They argued that Terry had acted out of rage in the heat of the moment. However, as more evidence was presented, it became difficult to accept this defense. How could a man who had been so cold and calculating in his actions, who had sought refuge and assistance from others, suddenly be painted as an innocent victim of circumstance? Brittany's family remained steadfast throughout the trial, each day hoping for a sense of closure, though they knew nothing could truly bring their loved one back. They were determined to stand by Brittany's memory, hoping that justice would prevail for her 6 children who would now grow up without their mother.
Mother's Day can be tough for those who've lost their moms. Jessica Maduker spoke with a Racine family who's focused on getting justice in honor of a young mother whose life was cut tragically short.
Mother's Day will never be the same for the Booker family.
First one out of many more to come without her.
It's hard enough for Leonard Leary, who lost his daughter 2 weeks ago today, but his 6 grandchildren lost their mother, the most important person in their lives.
Words can't explain. My daughter was everything to me.
30-year-old Brittany Booker of Racine was shot and killed. She was found in her car near 13th and Villa on April 24th. The man who police say did it, Terry Jackson, is still on the run. Instead of focusing on the horrific way Brittany died, family is remembering how she lived this Mother's Day.
If Brittany was here, I'm sure they'll be at some water park or somewhere doing what mothers do.
Leonard and other family members are stepping up to help raise Brittany's children, the youngest only 2 years old.
After months of legal proceedings, the trial finally concluded and the jury deliberated over Terry's fate. The tension was unbearable as Brittany's family and the public waited for a verdict. Finally, after what seemed like an eternity, the decision was reached. Terry Jackson was found guilty of first-degree murder in the death of Brittany Booker. The judge sentenced him to life in prison without the possibility of parole. While the sentencing brought a sense of relief to Brittany's family, the pain of their loss remained. The prosecutor's statement following the conviction echoed what many in the courtroom had been thinking. Brittany's death was a senseless tragedy, one that could have been avoided had Terry Jackson not chosen to act on his violent impulses. Her death was a stark reminder of the prevalence of domestic violence and the devastating impact it can have on families. Though Brittany's life was tragically cut short, her legacy lives on. Her family, friends, and community continue to honor her memory by supporting her 6 children and ensuring they have the love and support they need to grow up strong. Brittany's father, who had always been so proud of his daughter, remains a guiding figure for the children. He has vowed to raise them with the same love, respect, and care that Brittany had always shown them. In the months following the trial, Brittany's story became a rallying cry for those advocating against domestic violence. Her tragic death sparked widespread discussions about the importance of recognizing the warning signs of abusive relationships and providing the resources necessary to help those in danger. Local organizations, such as the Houston Area Women's Center, have since used Brittany's story to encourage people to speak out against violence and support victims in their time of need. While Brittany's case was devastating, it highlighted an important fact. The fight against domestic violence is far from over. Domestic violence remains one of the most pervasive forms of abuse, affecting millions of men and women every year. The statistics surrounding intimate partner violence are staggering, and each tragic case like Brittany's only serves to remind us of the urgent need for change. As we reflect on Brittany's story, we are reminded of the importance of standing up for those who cannot stand for themselves. We are reminded that every decision we make, every action we take, can have far-reaching consequences. Brittany's life, though tragically short, will continue to inspire others to speak out, to seek help, and never allow themselves to remain in an abusive relationship. Brittany Booker's story is a heartbreaking reminder of the dangers of domestic violence. Her death was not just the loss of a mother, daughter, and friend. It was the loss of a woman who had so much to give. What do you think about it? Let us know in the comments below. And if you found this story intriguing, please like, share, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this.